Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Esports Hub's interview series. My name is Cast Campbell, and it's a brand new edition today. We're going over to the caster side of things again. We've already had Revan on the show, but now we're going for a little bit closer to home. He goes by the name of Alan Brice, commonly known as Bricey. Alan, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, buddy. And sorry, you can just call me Brice. No one calls me Alan.
No one calls you Alan. We're going to go with Brice. And I know there's like Bricetacular as well. I've heard you've been called. There's a load of nicknames going around for you, but we'll go with Brice for this one. So, first thing I want to talk about is obviously, you've been in the esports scene for a while, and it's not necessarily just casting or shoutcasting Call of Duty. You've done many events around the scene as well. And the one thing I wanted to ask you, for anybody that's interested, is what is it that actually got you involved in esports? Where was it that you started realizing, I'm going to become a caster, I want to start doing this as a career?
The short story is by accident. But yeah, I've always been a massive gamer, and I originally kind of wanted to come into gaming as a community manager way ago. And then I started kind of playing. I mean, COD 4 was kind of the major catalyst, but I played things like Unreal Tournament, Counter-Strike Source back in the day. StarCraft got me massively into esports, but I was also a Halo kid. I played Halo CE for a little while. But yeah, I mean, COD 4 kind of kickstarted it all into it, and I started playing on a team, not very successfully, I might add. And that was kind of due to the fact I didn't practice and I didn't really take it very seriously. I just kind of enjoyed LANs because I enjoyed going to LAN, and I like the media side of it. I was doing some media work in gaming. I think it was like maybe EGL 5 when I was like, I really kind of want to do some more media stuff in this. There's still a montage from EGL 5 somewhere on the internet that I did, which is kind of when people first kind of saw me in the COD scene. Yeah. But I remember sitting there looking at the casters thinking I could do that. I could definitely do that, and I could probably do it better. Like it sounds arrogant, but I think it's one of the things that a lot of casters will tell you that they believe they can do it, because you have to kind of put yourself on the line when you're going out in front of people. So yeah, I kind of gave that a go, and I just applied the same work ethic to it. I sacrificed an awful lot because of the time I had, a busy social life. I had a girlfriend. I was working shift work as well. So there were times without sleep. There were times where I was just doing 13, 14-hour days doing Vanity Cups and EGL 6. I think I did 2 13-hour shifts with Benson back in the day, just all online, all at home. We got up early to do that for them, and yeah, it was just kind of keep that work ethic going. And I've always said just work hard and honest. And someone will take notice, unless you're really awful, of course.
Yeah, of course. And I think that kind of proves that, in a lot of people's eyes, you are like a veteran in the casting scene. That sentence just there and everything you've spoke about proves you have been in the scene for a very long time, and therefore it proves in your work as well. You can see that you've learned a lot through your journey of becoming a caster, and obviously casting and talking about esports events around the world. But I wanted to move on to the Esports Awards, which is something brand new to the scene, and you was obviously privileged to be there as actually awarding one of the prizes, but obviously it did go a little bit wrong. We saw that happen, and there was
my bit was great,
where you must have thought to yourself, oh come on, it had to be me that it happened to.
I laughed, and I had a good laugh of production backstage as well, because it's weird when you're hosting something like that in terms of I knew I was doing it, but it wasn't kind of hard and fast. And I already spoke to the production earlier, but because you got no in ears, I think a lot of people don't realize the information you usually get down the wire when you're hosting something. You usually have somewhere to go. But because it was literally a walk-on thing, my original cue card had 4 words on it, and the finalists are. I said, "Can I just add it?" I said, "It's a big award. I'm just going to reiterate. It's Esports Game of the Year, and then do it." And I did it the first time, and I generally think the first time when I did it, they didn't hear me or the music was too loud. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. I'll just say, and the finalists are again. Did that. Didn't work. And at this point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Jason Bradbury's kind of looking at me like he has no idea what's going on either. He's actually looking at the script. Yeah. And I can't remember who was to my left. It's an esports athlete. I generally can't remember his name because I only met him for about 5 seconds before we went on. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I'll do what I usually do with hosting. You give him a big lead in, laughed it off, so this usually happens in esports. Production have let me down. I gave him a big lead in, and it didn't happen again. And I'm like, right, well, this is going fantastic now, because I have no fill stuff. I don't know who's in the category off by heart. Yeah. And then, fortunately, their stage manager grabbed my leg. I don't think you could see it on the stream. But the stage manager grabs me by the leg and just says, "We're going to move on. Just do the winners."
Okay
So
then.
he's actually below the kind of the pedal. He just grabs with
Yeah.
the legs as we're moving on. So, all right, okay. In that case, it's a funny thing. It's something that happens in
Yeah.
esports, and it had to happen with a production team that I first of all love, and I work with quite frequently, and they used to work for that company. So it was quite funny. We went backstage. It was a good laugh.
Yeah. But I mean, apart from that, though, obviously the esports awards went fantastically well. There was quite a few thousand people in the Twitch stream, and obviously I spoke to you before we started this, and you said it was a fantastically held event. And can you definitely see this becoming a yearly thing and definitely progressing, and more people getting involved, and more nominations and more awards? Is that something you can see with this?
I certainly can. I think one of the things you got to take away from last night is I think 99% of it was done the way I would like to have seen it done. There was very few things I could even poke holes in. It was very prestigious. It felt really legitimate. All the production was great. It looked great, even from just turning up. Obviously, things you didn't see on screen. The way we turned up, we were greeted. It was very much everything you kind of never expected to see in esports. And I think they did it the right way. Like I said, there was very little for me to kind of find an issue with, and that genuinely surprised me. I thought it was an incredibly well done event, and I think it's got to be a staple of esports moving forward, that events like that, and hopefully that exact event next year does grow in size and does have a lot more people kind of tuning in, because it is important.
Yeah, and it definitely proves as well. It's making us grow by the day, and things like this. We're basically seems like we're going to where the movie scene is as well. Movies are almost as big as games are almost as big as movies, I should say. They're definitely making the profits in the games that we sell, and obviously hosting events like this, making people actually try to get these awards and maybe improve their individual ability to try and say, like, look, I have won one of these awards, like Seth did win last night with the console player of the year. And it might strive players to maybe go, actually, I want that award as well as winning LAN events, and I want to try and improve my ability so I can gain one of those as well. But I mean, we're going on from events that you were working for last night. We're going on to an event that you're hosting yourself, and I mean, that's crazy. It must be a surreal feeling for you to know that all these events that you went to back in the day and you casted that and you worked for, and now you're actually hosting your own event, and that is actually going to be at the Extreme Gaming event. Is it in Colchester, I think?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
on the 26th to the 27th of November. So, I mean, the thing I have to ask you really, does it feel like a dream?
It's interesting, really, because I think some people are kind of wondering why I'm doing it and wondering, why it's come about.
Yeah.
It kind of started off as an idea. Like I said before, COD4 was a big kind of landmark in my esports journey. It was probably the turning point from just sort of competing a little bit and playing a few games to, okay, I actually want to do this.
Yeah.
And I think realistically, what kind of happened was Extreme Gaming is where I started all these years ago. Like the owner there, Arthur, told me he is my best friend. He's actually now, funny enough, my manager. And we've gone on for long years, and COD4 was a very important game for them as well. I mean, when they were first open, it was only a few years into it. It's been going 10 years now. And we said, I said, I want to do something. I said, I'm in an incredibly privileged position, and I know I am, that I can do this. I'm earning a living from this. How do I give back? It kind of just come out of that. And originally I was like just going to do an all-nighter with their community people and say, I'll bring some stuff, maybe do a little cash prize pool and stuff. That kind of grew up. I was like, well, I might have a few people who are interested in doing a LAN here. So I thought, okay, well, we'll see if that kind of happens. And originally it was going to be an 8-team event. I was just going to use kind of standard stuff. But as I kind of put the feelers out more and more, a lot of favors, like a lot of people have helped towards this event in the background. Obviously, Extreme Gaming probably first and foremost, because the venue, they just said, just do it. It's cool. It's not an issue for us. There are some people who I can't officially name because they didn't want to kind of come into the forefront, but they've helped out here. And like I said, I've decided, what, coming into this event, I'm going to put up the prize pool. I'm going to put it through my company. I'm going to make sure, that I have money from esports, and I want to put it straight back in. And I said from the outset, I'm not here to make money. I've already kind of written off the budget in my mind, which, again, is a privileged position to be able to do and to have that support come through. So, and I try not to, because people say, that's quite generous, just kind of throwing that. And I'm like, for me, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like this is something I should be doing. Rather than anything else. And I'm just kind of hoping people enjoy it. For me, I'm going to just enjoy kind of reveling back in the COD4 days. I haven't been able to put down MWR since it came out. I've been playing just a crazy amount of game battles, actually, with Phil, Momo. and his squad. In there's a chat with a load of them in here. So people like Sketch and Ben and Joe and the JTs and John, a load of other people, right? And they're gonna be mad if I don't mention them. So we've been playing all these games, and yeah, it was like I've got to do this. This has got to happen. I've funny enough, I actually just was before I come to this interview, had a call about some of it. And yeah, I think it's all going very well. I'm quite happy with it. I think maybe the team turnout is not going to be as high as people maybe expect. I'm expecting 8 to 10 teams to kind of turn up, which is fine, because the thing about culture, the thing about where I've actually done the event is it is in the middle of a town, and Colchester isn't the most accessible place to get to if you're traveling from up north, because you'll go into London and back out of London, and the prize pools are grand because I've kind of put it up myself. But the great thing about this event for me is, if it goes well, I never thought I would do a second one, but I think I've enjoyed doing the logistics of this event. And if we can find a way to make it, what's the correct word for it, fluid in terms of the way the money works, maybe I can see me doing another one, a bigger one. Maybe if I can figure out a way to make it work where I'm not obviously pouring money down a drain, then I'll do it. I'm not massively kind of fussed about making money out of this event. That's not what I do. I enjoy event logistics. I've done events before. I did I-49. And I've worked with, so many companies. I've done events with Extreme Gaming as well, where they've done corporate events. So for me, kind of organizing a LAN, it's a little bit like just blowing off the cobwebs. It's something that I've learned to do over years. So I'm hoping it goes well. I've got the stream already. We've got a few actually casters coming down. They've done me a few favors. People like Gucci is coming back. He's actually going to be coming in and doing some casting. So he hasn't done that for almost 2 years. And he was one of the first people actually professionally casted with. So that's kind of cool. He's coming down to do it. A few people let me down. People like Rel has betrayed me once again. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, for me, I'm quite excited just to kind of get into it, and I want to see people have fun more than anything. This isn't, like I said, this isn't an ego project. I really enjoyed COD 4, and I'm hoping that people are going to enjoy this LAN.
Yeah, definitely, and it's got that feeling of, it's not going to be a massively competitive event. It's not like people are going to be stood up screaming across from the tables to each other. It's going to be a chilled vibe, and it's going to be people just enjoying the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Like you said, what was your turning point, and also this event's turning point for Call of Duty, and hopefully people can obviously respect that, and obviously when they play at this event, it'll be a fun time for everybody.
I don't think a lot of people know this, but the old Flame Retardant roster is going to be in attendance.
Oh, right, okay.
The full roster, I believe, it's going to be Jake, Flux, Rich, and Monksy, which, if you're from the old school days, kind of quite exciting, because they're still very, very good. Yeah. And I think that's probably going to be one of the big teams to beat. There are a few others coming down. People like Jack Berry, Richie Atkins, they're coming as well. So they've got squads as well. So it's kind of curious to see these big squads kind of rock up from the old days and see how they perform.
Yeah, see whereabouts they can stand in the newer times. Obviously, it's been a long time since it was back then, but see if those two teams can still come out on top. And it'd be interesting to see who does win it. I mean, like I said, there is no really going to be a great deal of competitiveness, but I'm sure when it comes down to those finals and it's really tends towards the end, we'll see the competitiveness come out between those two teams. But there's a question from somebody from the community as well, because we did tweet out and ask if anybody had a question for you. And it's from Kin Reflex, and he asks, what are you most looking forward to from the actual event itself?
I think seeing a lot of the old faces for me, and I think seeing COD 4 just play competitive LAN. If there's something I can recommend to anybody, it's events. It's basically like crack to me. I genuinely love events more than anything else. Yeah. Nothing else for me has the same buzz about it. I just want to do them. Like I've had a really good year where I've been doing almost every weekend, and some more than once a week. And I think I was hooked from my very first event that I actually went to, which was ECL 3. Although I actually was supposed to be XL 7, but then that kind of fell through. So yeah, I think for me, I'm just looking forward to it. I think it's one of these things where I'm just going to enjoy seeing people, watching them play on LAN, having a laugh with some of the old faces. Yeah. I don't know. There's so many things I'm kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, and that is the benefit from LAN events as well. It's getting everybody together that you've played with for months and months and months on Call of Duty, and meeting those faces, putting names to faces, and actually being able to, Call of Duty LAN events in my eyes are the most chilled places. Obviously, you get your shouters and everybody gets competitive, and that's fair enough. That does happen at a competitive game mode, and this is esports at the end of the day. But it is nice to just have a chilled out weekend, not have to worry about anything else, and just enjoy doing what you've been doing, the whole time of your life, playing Call of Duty, or is it casting Call of Duty or whatever, and just getting involved in the community. And a lot of people do say that, other console esports or other PC esports would say that Call of Duty is that type of community that, is just 14-year-old kids that all shout at each other. But LAN events really do show that, there are genuine people in the scene, and they do want to give back to the community like yourself. There are people in the Call of Duty scene that are generally nice people, and events like the one that you're hosting will go on to prove that and show that even further. But it is nice to see that people wanting to help you out, and obviously come and help you out with this event and prove that people are genuine, and hopefully the event does go really well for you. But going into a very different style of Call of Duty from Call of Duty Remastered, and we're going to talk about Infinite Warfare, obviously the brand new addition to the Call of Duty scene, going to be for the brand new esports scene going into next year as well. And the one thing I have to ask you about is, what is your opinion on Infinite Warfare, and is it going to be a successful year for Call of Duty and esports? Can you see Infinite Warfare doing that?
I think this is obviously the massive topic everyone's kind of talking about at the moment. And I think for a lot of people, there's been split opinions. For me, I enjoy COD just because I enjoy it. And I think there's also this other part where everybody kind of does this thing when they begin. It's like, oh, I'm not sure about this. I'm not good at this. You have to kind of change the way you play a little bit. I know the change from AW to BO3 for me was quite dramatic. I was playing with Swanee at the time. And we both said it at the same time. We said our positioning is terrible. I said, because we're just not used to it. And we're getting taken down because we're kind of expecting to be able to burst out. And I think people are still adapting to the new metrics of Infinite Warfare. Obviously, some pros are for it, some pros are against it. But I think we're going to have a good year. I think COD is one of these things where a lot of it is sold on the storylines, and we sell it on these great storylines, and then we have these fantastic, hyper-intense moments of superb gameplay. And I think the talent pool in Call of Duty right now is fantastic. We've also got these great casters and commentators and analysts. Probably one of the strongest rosters we've ever had in terms of the ex-pros now coming through. So I think it's going to be a good year. I was discussing this last night with a few people. And I said, I think the interesting thing that we're going to see is people are talking about this MWR-IW thing, and I actually think they're going to go hand in hand. I think it wouldn't surprise me to see IW do well and to see MWR also have a scene. Because I think MWR isn't going to go away. And obviously with the CWL, the plan for the CWL this year, from what I've kind of gleaned off of a few things I've been told unofficially, is superb. I think they've really kind of stepped out. I think they've learned from any mistakes they made in the first year of the CWL, which was, got to remember, it was the first year, and obviously we've already had a LAN announced, and it's being one of those where I think we're just going to really enjoy it and see what they've got coming. There's awesome people working on it. We know that the Americans are at the MLG office. And I can only see good things. I think we have a good year, and I think we just got to get ready for it. This game changes when you see it play competitively. Once you get to look at it, once you see how good the teams are, and once the big events kind of spiral out and the casters start taking you through it and the analysts are telling you what's going on, I think people have a better appreciation of Infinite Warfare. Yeah,
definitely. That makes total sense. And one thing I really wanted to talk about as well was the roster changes that we've seen. Because since Black Ops 3, it was a very good year for EU. I think everybody can agree. Getting our highest placement at Call of Duty Championships and really starting to put our foot down on the map of Call of Duty, and the Americans have always been ahead of us, and I think anybody can agree with that actually is an EU player themselves. But I think Black Ops 3, we did really, really well, and I was surprised to see so many roster changes going into Infinite Warfare. I know it's a very different game, and obviously rosters do change a lot due to implications within the team, but the one roster I want to talk to you about the most, Bricey, is the one we just saw recently, which was the Elevate roster, an American organization picking up an EU team. And there's been talks about them possibly actually playing in America as well. I mean, is this something that you see as a big thing for us EU players, that like an organization like Elevate will pick up this roster?
Elevate are a fantastic organization. That's kind of without question. They seem to know what they're doing, and they've been around for quite a while. I'm a fan of them. I'm a fan of their roster as well. In terms of the players on that team, I'm a good fan of some of them. I think the dynamic of that team's a little bit interesting. And I do have to speak to them at some point, because I've already started kind of acquiring the knowledge I'm going to need for the upcoming year in terms of the playstyle, the issues, the stuff they've kind of seen here. And I think that's what a lot of people do. That's what I kind of base a lot of my analyst stuff is I kind of know stuff in the background, and then I kind of watch the way they play. And I talk heavily with the pros about their playstyle to kind of bring it up. So I think realistically, that team looks like it has the potential to do well. Zed had a little bit of a breakout year. Wasn't able to maybe replicate his performance as much at some of the big events. Reedy, I think, had had a great first half, and then his team in the second half maybe wasn't up to the caliber he was hoping it would be. Sean is actually coming in. He's a little bit new, but I think I actually spoke to Reedy about him. He has massive faith in him. So who am I to kind of poo-poo that at the moment? We'll see how it goes. I think Reedy being captain is interesting. He's very forthright. And Watson, I think out of all of them, I love Watson a bit, but I think he was inconsistent last year.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely enthused with his play style. I don't think it was the Watson of Aware back when they had that great run. So I'm kind of curious to see how this team works. For me, this is not a locked up tight team. This is not a team that I'm expecting to go, yep, I know exactly how they're going to go into this. I know the quantity to expect from them. For me, it's a little bit team chemistry, and the caveat that I think a lot of people haven't looked at with this team is they are being coached by Op2. And if you've ever spoken to Op2, if you ever met Op2, he's very forthright with feedback, I think is the easiest way to go. He will tell you what you're doing wrong, and he will make sure you know if he's something he disagrees with. He's very kind of blunt with the way he puts things, but that's a good thing. I think some of the teams like this, they are going to be able to improve because he will go back, he will watch the VODs, and he will push forward. So I'm kind of curious to see how much involvement he actually has, and whether or not that makes a big difference. Because I think it genuinely could do if he kind of helps take the rough edges off.
Yeah, and I agree with what you say as well about Elevate picking this team up. They obviously know what they're doing. And Elevate being such a massive organisation, they wouldn't put the organisation's name on the line unless they had faith themselves that this roster was going to be able to make an impact with it, whichever scene it is that they end up playing in. And I agree pretty much with everything you say about these players as well and their individual abilities and styles. And Watson was my choice as well. Obviously, Watson not having that great year last year, but going into this new game, it's new for everybody, and it could be a case that players like John from last year from Envious might not have the year that again in Infinite Warfare that he had in Black Ops 3, and that's why we have just got to wait till these events come out, and obviously then we can judge on what teams will do good and what players and their play styles are going to work going into Infinite Warfare, and I think that's something that we just have to wait for. But there's another question from the community as well, Bryce, and it's from a guy called T Plater, and he says, what's the best futuristic COD for competitive? And what can the developers learn from it for future Call of Duties?
Well, it's a bit
of a broad question. And very interesting question.
It's a little bit of a weird question, really, here, because, I mean, in the one hand, like, for me, I love Black Ops 3. I think AW was very fresh and very new, and at the time, it was definitely something we needed. I think a lot of people look past that. But if you go back and you kind of remember the way it was viewed to begin with, I think it was necessary. I quite liked the movement to begin with. I think it maybe wore off a little bit towards the year, and that was simply down to high interaction level, which is something we kind of have to keep an eye on. It's something that maybe isn't talked about enough. So for me, I don't know, I like Black Ops 3 a lot, but realistically, when you look, I mean, technically even Black Ops 2 was futuristic. That's what a lot of people got to kind of remember here. And the M8 is actually a prototype gun that was used for the US military that was potentially replacing their M16. So technically that wasn't a real gun. That's actually technically was in kind of the future as well. So for me, I think the advanced movement's more of the thing that people are focusing on here.
Yeah. And
the only issue with advanced movement now is we've actually had it for so long. What's it going to be like when you go back? I know when you kind of people go onto MWR, they sometimes struggle to adjust a little bit. So I don't know. I think for me, you know, every game has its benefits. Black Ops 3, we had a good year in my opinion. AW, you know, we needed that freshness. It's coming off the back of a lot of these games, and I don't know if you could pick one that's the best for competitive. I know that a lot of players will be okay with doing another year on Black Ops 3, but we said the same thing about Black Ops 2 when it came out. So I don't know. I mean, for all we know, Infinite Warfare, once the meta starts developing and there are some patches coming in as well, it could be, you know, everywhere part of up there in the kind of the pantheon of the great competitive CODs. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird question, like which is the best for competitive, because it's kind of a non-question that the answer doesn't really matter because we're moving on regardless.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that people don't realize as well is because, like you said, you know, we've been here for so long now in this advanced type of movement, we've actually created a new style of players that have come into the scene now as well, and obviously are better at this game than they would be at the previous Call of Duties. And if we were to go back as well to boots on the ground, say next Call of Duty, those players, the scene that we've built over these past 3 years since the AW days, would kind of be in the same situation these all-star players are in, and they would say, well, I want boots on the ground back again. And we're always going to have that in Call of Duty, and not every Call of Duty suits every single player, and it's all about adapting, and that's always been one of the biggest things in Call of Duty for a player is the ability to adapt. If you are a player that can adapt quickly, then normally you're going to be one of those players towards the top ends of the Call of Duties, and that's always been a thing, I think, throughout the Call of Duty scene. And I think we've built this scene now of these players that are good at these faster style of players, I guess you could say, and they're not necessarily going to want to go back if the new boots on the ground Call of Duty came out. So I totally agree with what you're saying, and I know how difficult it is to make an answer on this one of which is the best, because I'd probably take a little bit from each of those 3 Call of Duties and then put them into one, and I would say that would be a good Call of Duty. But then there's bits from like Black Ops 3, for example, that I wouldn't necessarily have in a Call of Duty if I was to make one myself. So I think it is a difficult question. But moving on to the next one, Brice, is what are we expecting from you in the next year? What is it that we've got to expect from Brice?
I don't really know. I think at the start of this year, I said I kind of want to diversify a little bit. I made some very hard choices at the end of last year. In terms of what I kind of wanted to do, in terms of job offers, in terms of the stuff I wanted to do. I have a talent agency that I have a few people that are good friends in. They're kind of working on that. I'm doing a bit more consulting stuff coming through. I do a little bit of that on the side that comes through. So I've got some of that as well. I think I've hosted or presented like 8 games this year. So like I said I was going to diversify. I kind of wanted to a little bit, and that's not because I didn't like COD. It was just simply because it was something I kind of wanted to dip my toe in, see if I could do. But yeah, I mean, and it actually went beyond all expectations. I've done Halos, I've done Gears. I even got into Counter-Strike a little bit and worked with some of those incredible kind of talented people. I did PES, FIFA, Forza. Yeah. I've worked with Chris Kamara this year. JME, and it's just like it's kind of crazy how this year has been for me, because it wasn't what I was expecting at all. And like I said, I've turned down some jobs. You know, I've had a fair few job offers come through, and I've turned them down because I wanted to kind of do what I wanted to do and make sure I don't make a mistake coming forward. So hopefully, you know, coming in the next year, I've kind of doing a little bit of a deal with some content, maybe some articles I'm going to write. I'm hoping to get back on the YouTube thing. I kind of stopped doing it just simply because I got so busy. And once I fell out of it, I didn't kind of fall back in. But I think I have a little time. I mean, admittedly, I was expecting November and December to be a little kind of more quiet than it's actually going to be, as I actually have a lot of jobs lined up already. So that's kind of interesting. And I think with the explosion of esports next year, I expect, you know, I will go in a direction I haven't even contemplated yet. I want to do more stuff behind the scenes. I want to do more events. I want to do more logistics. I also want to be on camera. So for me, I just want to work. All I ever want to do is work. There's very little else that I'm happy doing. And I actually I actually hate not working. It's one of those things where I don't want days off. I just want to go and do another event. And I've had things like that when I was working in Germany for the CWL. What people didn't see is I like ended the Thursday night broadcast, and I got home by about midnight, 8. Was up at 4 a.m. Flew to Sweden, did 3 days there, come back, you know, did another broadcast during the week, and got back onto a plane and flew somewhere else. And funny enough, as much as it does drain you and it does kind of kick the crap out of you over a while, I wouldn't have it any other way. I could quite happily go from event to event. I mean, there were points where I was counting my time home in hours. Just to get things kind of turned around. So hopefully I have the same kind of year. That's all I want.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully that is the case for you, though, Brice. But we're going to be rounding up this interview now with the game, the Esports Hub interview series game that we played with everybody that we've had on the interview show so far. And it is the word association game. So basically, if nobody is aware of it, you might have played it in school before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say a word to Brice. He's going to give me the first word that pops into his head with the word I say. So, for example, I might say something like road, and then obviously the first word that pops into Brice's head, he would then tell me. So, are you all right to start this one then, Brice?
Okay. Can't promise it'll be any good.
All right, then. Here we go. So, car.
Track.
House.
Home.
Esports.
Awesome.
Momo.
Betrayer.
Lion.
Sorry, say again?
LAN.
Brilliant.
E-girls.
I don't know, man. Like what?
There's one that we throw out there. CWL.
Incredible.
Benson.
Homie.
All right then. So there you go. The Momo's one was quite interesting as well. Betrayer.
Yeah, I have an ongoing feud with the VP brothers.
Interesting.
Both of them like to betray me a lot, but yeah, Phil's a good friend. We talk. I'm hoping he doesn't actually see that part of it, because we have an ongoing joke that he's just an associate of mine.
I'm pretty sure when he watches this video, he'll be popping up on your Twitter notifications. Then
his ego's too big now to watch videos about other people. He'll just be vlogging to himself.
Anyway, it was a fantastic interview with you, Brice, and it was great having you on. And I really do hope that the event that you're hosting is going to be something and everything that you hoped it to be. I hope also everybody here from the Esports Hub wishes you a really good Christmas as well, and I hope that all goes well for you. And obviously, the best of luck to you in the new Infinite Warfare year. It sounds like there's a lot of exciting things to come, and obviously you're not allowed to reveal as much as you know yet, because it's not been announced to the public yet, but it does sound like there's some good stuff to come in terms of CWL and also going forwards with the esports scene. But guys, that is everything here from us at the Esports Hub. I have been Cas Campbell. Make sure you follow my Twitter down below, and I'll also going to put down Brice's Twitter in the description down below as well. While you're down there, follow the Esports Hub. Also subscribe to us. Plenty more interview series to come. Our brand new tournament as well our brand new league is coming soon. Big prize pool for that one, for the 4v4 Infinite Warfare League. And also make sure you check out our website. Tournaments practically every single day, trying to keep you guys interested in Modern Warfare Remastered and also Infinite Warfare. But like I said, guys, that's been everything here from the Esports Hub. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching this video, and I hope you guys also have a fantastic Christmas. Thank you very much for watching.